Before I get going, can you hear that okay? There is a sack of rocks and papers on the end of your aisle. Somebody sat on it and went, "Ah, what's this?" Anyway, take one of each and pass it down. What? Paper and a rock. Hmm? Everybody get one? Ladies, you at the back, make sure you get one. Thank you. So, my name's Sharon Hastings. I'm from a little town in Colorado called Golden. It's just west of Denver. It gets more snow than you can imagine, so we come down here every winter. So it's also cold. So, what's with that? I have the honor of talking with you today about Philippians 3. And when I was trying to figure out what to talk about, God just kind of pushed me and said, do verses 12 and 13. Somebody needs it. So hopefully that's you. Anyway, let's look into a couple scriptures that talk about what Philippians 3 talks about, which is running a race. This is a famous statue. 1954. Roger Bannister, some of you are going, I know that person, and a guy named Lowry in a called the Magic Mile race in Vancouver. They pushed each other so hard that they both ran a sub-minute 4 mile. And won. Can you guess? Not the one looking back. He got past the last millimeter of a second because he looked back. So let's talk about don't look back today. Let's look at a couple scriptures. That's small. Let me read it to you. Philippians 3, 13 and 14. I don't consider myself yet to have taken hold of it, but one thing I do, forgetting what is behind and straining toward what is ahead, I press on toward the goal to win the prize for which God has called me heavenward in Christ Jesus. And the other one actually is Hebrews 12, verses 1 and 2. Let us lay aside every weight and the sin which so easily ensnares us, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us. Now, Paul wrote these close to the end of his life. At least in Philippians, he was in prison in Rome. And that's a long ways from Tarsus, where he was born, which is in southern Turkey. Is that south? I never can tell here in Corpus which direction is which. But clear in southern Turkey. And Philippi and Thessalonica and Corinth and Ephesus were all far north, 1,000 miles, on the Aegean Sea in the country of, anybody know? I just found out this week and I went, duh, Greece. Original Bible, Hebrew, Greek, yeah, okay. So he traveled a long ways. He compares his life with a race. Now, Paul was a golden boy. He was born wealthy. He was born in the right family with the right education and the right connections, and some even think he was headed for probably a place in government. And that was before he met Jesus. And then he said, it was all rubbish. It was all rubbish before I met him. Ladies at our age, most of us know the difference between rubbish and value, except when we look in our closets for spring cleaning and go, how did I get all this rubbish? But anyway, it's important to tell the difference between value and rubbish. How do we get rid of it in our lives? That's what we're going to talk about today. So, we have some choices on how to run that race. I'm not going to do these in order, but the first one is maybe you've never started the race. And I know there's some women here that are searching. And you know what, ladies? We all were searching at some time in our life before we accepted Jesus, so we've been where you're at. I encourage you to think about asking Jesus into your heart. It's the most exciting adventure you can imagine. If you want peace and joy and love, that's the way to get it. It occurs to me that, especially with our youth, my grandkid the other day, 18, says, I don't know the difference between right and wrong. Who's to say? And I said, the Bible's to say. He says, well, that's old. And I said, you're 18, you're old now, you're considered. I said, you want to know the difference between right and wrong? Read the Bible. Don't listen to social media. Don't get into politics. Don't watch the evening news. Don't listen to gossip. There's so many things. You want to have a roadmap for your life? Look at the Bible. Without it, you're like an Aborigine placed in the middle of Times Square and said, good luck. Or Corpus. A lot of our kids are really lost because they don't know the guidelines and the boundaries. Makes me sad for them. So, if you've never started, you need to know Jesus changes everything. Everything. What a joy it is. If you're at that spot, I encourage you to find somebody in the women here today. Everybody would be so honored to help introduce Jesus to you and ask him into your heart. So, one that some of us do is quit. We do that maybe if Jesus doesn't answer prayer the way we wanted him to, or if the guidelines we think are too strict and we can't go sow our oats the way we want to, or, I don't know, we don't have patience. Some of you are nodding your head. Following him does have a cost. It might mean that your relationship changes, or money, or time, or things that you value. I think you'll find it worth it. As I said, well, I'll talk for myself. I'm not the most patient person. It's not my strong suit. But molding you takes time. Jesus wants to change you into who he wants. And that doesn't happen overnight. So I get impatient and say, where's the answer? And it's like, it's coming, it's coming. Let me tell you about one time I quit. I was training for a marathon when I was younger. I would call it a walkathon now, not a run. I trained for months. I got up to the longest training run, which was 2 weeks before the race itself, and I got tired and grumpy and hot and said, I quit. This isn't fun. You know, I look back even now and go, oh my goodness, if I just persevered, I would have run that race and I would have finished. It's probably no big deal, but I look back and think, why didn't I press on? Why didn't I press on? Don't quit. Let's look at the next one, which isn't the hardest. It is pressing on. And a lot of you are very good at doing that. I want to read this part because I don't want to leave anything important out. He calls us daily to a new and deeper experience with Him, knowing about Him, living in a deeper relationship with Him. Here's some words. Are you walking wisely, discerningly, urgently, with a purpose? Are you standing in the power of God with compassion and love, truth and peace? Are you practicing patience, which means being on God's time frame, not your own? Are you putting yourself under the mission of God and blessing others? Are you taking small steps in the right direction, practicing being repetitively obedient? Are you holding on to the prize and keeping your eyes on Him? Are you digging deeper? It's not the matter of the years in your life, but the life in your years. You're at the pinnacle of your experience and your education, your wisdom. How are you sharing it with other people? What's your next best faithful step? All right, another racing one. You would have thought I raced a lot, but I didn't. I ran a triathlon, which is swimming, biking, running. And you can do a triathlon all yourself, or you can do it with a team and somebody does each of the segments differently. But I'd like to try to do them all. So I'm a really good swimmer. I jumped out of the reservoir before anybody else. I think it's a 1.5 mile swim. Jumped on my bike. I'm an okay biker. I was starting to get passed up because a lot of fresh people were zooming past me. That's okay. Finally, I get to the run, which is my worst. And now I'm really getting passed up by all those fresh runners. So I'm out in the countryside running. I think it was a 10K, which is 6.2 miles. Just enjoying the day. And suddenly I realized there's no more water stations. There's no more signs. I hear a car honk behind me. I turn around, it's my husband. He says, "Get in." I said, "I am not going to be dishonest here and ruin my chances of finishing well." And he goes, "You are 8 miles out from town. You are so far away from the course. Get in." So I did. He took me back to within 1 mile of the stadium, and I got out and ran the last mile. And you know what? Now the Olympics start this week, by the way, if you don't know. When I ran into that stadium, everybody screamed and yelled and jumped up and down and patted me on the back. and congratulated me. And I'll never forget that feeling. I finished well. I have a gold medal to prove it. If I hadn't left it in Denver, I would show you, because I know a lot of you are looking at me with doubt. So, are you plodding on? Are you going to finish? Do you have much vigor, passion, purpose right now? Where are you on your journey of faith? Are you complacent? Are you tired? Comfortable, stuck, indifferent? Maybe vainly proud of something you accomplished before. Who or what do you have from the past that's weighing you down? The Bible describes it as bricks on your shoulder. You know, I hated someone 10 years of my life. And I look back at those 10 years and think, God couldn't do anything with me. Those 10 years, I lost him. And then one day, God got a hold of me and said, you can forgive her. She did the best she could. I'll take care of her from now. And I just bawled. Most of us do the best we can, and we're all broken. We're all hurting people. Let's talk about forgiveness. There's incredible power of letting go and letting God deal with someone. They may not deserve it, but you do. So what is forgiveness? It's a choice you make, a conscious decision to do what God tells you to do. You get to move on. The person who hurts you has to face the Lord, because he said, I'll repay. I don't think I like the sound of that. I don't want to face the Lord and have him repay some of the stuff I've done. But if he can forgive that person, so can you. Doesn't fix everything. For years I couldn't forgive because I thought forgetting went with it, and I couldn't forget the past. Maybe that's good. Maybe we're supposed to learn from it. But it is letting go. One way to heal that hurt is to look back and see how it changed you and see what good God brought from it. Romans 8:28 says, all things work together for good for those who love God. Do we believe that? Now, what about yourself? What do you need to forgive in yourself? God forgives as far as the east is from the west, but that's God. We have a hard time forgetting the things we've done in our lives. So it takes us to consciously sit down and say to ourselves, I am forgiven by the one that counts. Get someone to walk alongside of you, because it's so easy to go back and start chewing on that again and blaming yourself and say, I'm really terrible, I'm an awful person. Get a counselor, get a friend. Learn from it. Learn to take the next step. So whether it's from others or from yourself, the Bible calls those unforgettable, painful moments stumbling stones. It's like having a pebble in your shoe, and we've all done that. It's hard to walk, you can't think about anything else, it hurts, you can't enjoy life. Maybe you're remembering some bitterness or shame or hurt or regret or mistakes. Take it off your shoulders, forgive yourself. It's too heavy. Christ has offered to carry it. He's right beside you, you know. The prize is being like Jesus. The prize is being able to say it is well with my soul. So here's what I want you to do. Take that rock. Take the piece of paper. And I want you to write on that piece of paper someone you need to forgive that you either haven't completely forgiven or you haven't even started. And that person may be you. Maybe family. Maybe a friend that wasn't really a friend. In a minute, we're going to dim the lights a bit, and we'll have a time of quiet for you to ponder. Then I want you to come forward and bring that rock, and bring that piece of paper, and put it at the foot of the cross that's up here. And let go. You can quietly leave or go back to your seat and pray and think. The altars are open, and I've invited some of your friends to come kneel beside you and pray with you. Teachers will understand if you need to spend some time here before going to class. If you want to leave, please leave quietly when you're ready. Don't look back.